Coming at you today with another ranking video. Today I'm going to be ranking all of my Blend Bunny palettes. I did do this video actually last year, but I wanted to film an updated version because something very exciting is happening this Friday, May 3rd. For one day only, you can use my affiliate code Rachel to save 20% off on Blend Bunny's website. So I wanted to do an updated ranking and honestly, just do a video kind of going through all of the palettes that I have, and I own every single palette from the brand. Just letting you know, like if you are interested in the brand, if you've never tried the brand before, what palette could be right for you if you are thinking about purchasing. If you're not thinking about purchasing and you're just here for the ranking, welcome and hello. By the way, my name is Rachel. If you are new here, welcome. And we're gonna get to ranking my 11 Blend Bunny palettes. Of course, I will leave links down below in the description box. Not all of them are still available. I just wanna give you my ranking from my least favorite to my most favorite. Now, I will say right off the bat, I like all of these palettes. Blend Bunny's formula is top notch. Their matte formula is consistent throughout 10 of these 11 palettes. I think the mattes are amazing. Like they're just great. And like I said, they're consistent. So really it's the same formula in terms of the mattes. So when I talk about formula differences, I'm really mostly gonna talk about shimmer formula. And I'm really ranking these based on mostly color story preferences because that's really all that I can rank them on based on their formula consistency. I would love to know as I'm going through these palettes what your favorites are from the brand. Let me know down in the comments. I would love to know. All right, coming in at number 11, I have the Forget Me Not palette. And this is meant to be a versatile eye and face palette, which is the reason it is coming down at the last spot. So first of all, the packaging is absolutely gorgeous. I love like a marble look. It opens like a book this way. And then on the inside, we have this color story. Now, I am definitely a neutral lover, not that you can tell by my eye look today, but I really love neutrals. Off camera, I really am going to reach for neutrals 8 times out of 10, if I'm gonna be honest with you. So I am glad to have this in my collection to pull into these mattes for neutral mattes from Blend Bunny. I do feel that the formula is different though than their usual matte eyeshadow formula. Obviously, it's meant to be a face and eye palette, and Maggie, the owner of Blend Bunny, has come out and say that this isn't the same formula because again, it's meant to be used as contour, as highlighting, stuff like that. So there is a slightly different formula. It's not as pigmented. It's a little bit silkier. But for me personally, these matte shadows, I've not found a combination that I absolutely love on the face. I'm not a contour person. Like I don't contour my face. And a lot of these are very cool toned. And I've tried like so many different combinations. And even the ones that look maybe slightly warmer could be a bronzer. They either don't work for my skin tone or they're just not, they're just not the best combination for me. I will say these shimmers down here are absolutely beautiful, both on the eyes and on the face. These are some of my favorite shimmers from Blend Bunny because they are meant to be like a softer highlighter. They don't have a lot of sparkle. They don't have any chunk to them. They're not shifty. They're just really beautiful, metallic looking, very, very creamy shimmers. Like I said, I love wearing these on the eye. I love wearing them as highlighter. They're just so, so stunningly beautiful. And I think this is a good palette for somebody that is a makeup artist. Like one of my best friends, she is a bridal makeup artist, and she said that she wanted to order this for her kit because these are the shades she's gonna use. And she's probably much more versed than I am about finding different combinations for the face. So this would be perfect for someone who strictly does neutrals, someone that likes to contour, and someone that is a makeup artist that does a lot of brides. I think you would get a lot of use out of this, but just for me, it's not the one that I'm reaching for over all the other ones. Coming in at number 10, I have a palette that a lot of people, it's one of their favorite Blend Bunny palettes, and this is strictly based on color story. And this is the Lure palette. Again, I love the packaging. It has the mermaid scales with a slight sparkle to it. And then on the inside, we have this color story. I love the size of this palette. It's a little bit smaller than her usual palettes. And honestly, I just don't wear blues very often. It's my least favorite color to wear. So this is heavily blue, and even the green here is a little more of a cool toned seafoam green, which goes with the theme. But for me personally, you know, I like the brown row, I like the purple row, and I like the pink row. So about half of this palette is in my preference for color story. But if you are a blue, greenish blue lover and you love these mermaid tones, oh my goodness, the quality is phenomenal. The mattes are the good quality as usual. And these shimmers are just really, really pretty. A little bit more of a sparkly formula, but they're opaque shimmers. In some of the palettes that you're gonna see, some of them aren't opaque, they're a little more iridescent. These ones are opaque, and this shade Pearl, this multi-chrome, is one of my favorite shimmers that Blend Bunny has ever done. It is so beautiful. And I remember when I first got this palette and I created looks with it, I got so many compliments on my eye looks when I would wear the shade Pearl. It is beautiful, beautiful. This would be perfect for someone, again, who likes blues, who likes greens, who likes these tones. You want more of a smaller curated color story because a lot of the palettes from Blend Bunny are quite large. It goes light to deep as usual with her gradient of mattes. So that's who I would suggest this for. I think it's beautiful. It's just not a color story I'm reaching for all the time. Coming in at number 9, I have the Surge palette. I'm pretty sure this one has been discontinued. Let me check.
A few moments later.
Yes, it has been discontinued. This is one of the first palettes I bought from the brand. It was one of their very early palettes. And this is a really fun and different rainbow color story, colorful color story. It incorporates a lot of different tones. It goes a little more grungy. We have a row of neons, which makes it very unique to the Blend Bunny arsenal, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. But if you have this palette, you know. Do you have this palette? Let me know if you have it. And do you reach for it? I will say these shimmers are my least favorite shimmers that they've done, but again, this was one of their early palettes. Their shimmer formula has definitely improved since, and again, we have the gradient up here, but I love this row of neons and this row of darks. It makes it very different and really, really fun and different to all other rainbow palettes that I've seen. Coming in at number 8, we have another discontinued palette, and this is the Primal palette. This is, again, another version of a rainbow palette, in my opinion. It doesn't have every color of the rainbow, but it is that tropical vibe, which makes sense with the cover. If you like well, you can't buy it anyway, but anyway. This one is different because it has a row of shimmers that are definitely more mid-tone to deep. I don't prefer mid-tone to deep shimmers. I like light to mid-tone, and I do like occasionally a deep shimmer, but I've heard a lot of people in my comments talk about liking mid-tone to deep shimmers. So this would be a good palette for that. There is a large white and black pan, which some people were kind of upset about. I love the white and black from Blend Bunny. I reach into my Blend Bunny palettes specifically for the matte white and the matte black. So I don't mind this. I'm never gonna pan a shadow even if it's this small. So for it to be big, it's fine with me. It didn't bother me. But this is definitely the tropical vibe of a rainbow color story that I think is very unique and different. These shimmers are nice. They're not my favorite. They are definitely more of an opaque shimmer, a standard metallic. They don't have a ton of shine to them in my opinion, but still really pretty. And it's a nice one. Unfortunately, it's gone now. Coming in at number 7, it is the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes today, and it is my newest palette from Blend Bunny, and this is the Ellis Atlantis palette. So this is a big one. This is by far the biggest palette that they have. The Primal is one of their usual size palettes, and as you can see, it's way bigger. Here is what the cover looks like, and then on the inside, we have this truly rainbow palette. I really enjoy this palette. I think it's great. I've used it quite a few times now that I have my final thoughts. I can give you kind of my review on it. The matte shadows are phenomenal. I was kind of worried when I was swatching some of them. They came out not great on swatches, but on the eyes, I have no issues with the mattes at all whatsoever. I specifically created this green look today because some of the greens over here didn't swatch the absolute best. But on the eyes, they worked absolutely perfectly. No complaints, no notes. Wonderful. And something unique about this compared to like the Blends palette, which is their other true rainbow palette, is there is down the center a column of shimmers. And these are really pretty shimmers, very different for the brand, mostly iridescent shimmers. This one down here, the Engineer, is a true silver that is, look at that. Absolutely beautiful, super opaque, super shiny. Look. The silver is beautiful. And I like that there's a silver in there because you can really use a silver. In my opinion, it's pretty neutral and it goes with so many tones. You can really pair it with pretty much any of the mattes that are in here. The shimmer that I'm wearing on my lid here is called Ethereal. I think this is a very pretty shimmer. It's a silver kind of, but it's not as chromy, if that makes sense. There's a piece of hair stuck out of the palette. Okay. It's not as chrome looking. It's a little more white silver. It's not as opaque, but it's also not an iridescent. It's kind of in the middle. So yeah, I think these are fun, different. I really like the addition of those shimmers. For me, this just isn't coming any higher because I like the other palettes more, and this is very large. Very, very, very large. But I think this would be great for someone that wants a one and done rainbow palette. Maybe you saw the blends palette and you said, yeah, but I don't want to pull in other palettes for shimmers. Like I want shimmers and mattes all in one palette, but I want a one palette situation where I can get a million looks. This would be perfect for you. Perfect. And this one also has a really nice big mirror. The blends palette does not have that. So if you're someone that wants all of that, I think this would be great for someone that does makeup artistry for, not for weddings, like shows or like dancers or performers, stuff like that. This would be a really, really nice one. The quality is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. Coming in at number 6 is another palette that has unfortunately been discontinued. And this is the Sugar and Grunge palette. Now we're getting into the stuff. The top 6 are just like, I love these palettes, like love them so much with all of my heart. This one is one of those. This was a really cool launch, and Maggie, the owner of Blend Bunny, she modeled this palette after her late 90s, early 2000s teenhood, pre-teenhood, which is right along with when I was in that age as well. We have this row of darks that definitely have that grungy, kind of dirty undertone. And then we have a row of pastels at the top with our midtones in the middle. And in this palette, it is laid out differently where we have the gradient, but the shimmer that's at the bottom is not corresponding. A lot of people were pretty upset about it, but honestly, I don't have a problem just trying to find the corresponding shimmer, just making my eye move to that shimmer, or it's maybe encouraging you to mix it up a little bit. Like you could put this shimmer with these mattes if you wanted to. You can mix it up a little bit. You don't have to strictly stay monochromatic, which I always love when a brand tries to mix it up because keeping it the same after 11 palettes would get boring, you know? I love the packaging on this. It has a really interesting texture. I love the flowers, and I really like these tones a lot. Of course, this blue row in the middle is not my favorite, or column, I should say, but honestly, I've really enjoyed the looks I've gotten out of this. The shimmers in this are that sparkly, really sparkly type of shimmer. Some of them are not super opaque, but really, really beautiful. Coming in at number 5, I have the Dollhouse palette. This is leaning more neutral, so that is why it is closer to the top. This is one of her larger palettes, but it's still, in my opinion, very curated. This is the colorful palette for the neutral lover and the neutral palette for the colorful lover. And I totally can see that. You can create neutral looks, you can create colorful looks, which in a palette is always my favorite thing. And even these neutral looks, they're not all browns. Even the browns have some interest to them. I find myself attracted to this palette. I really like that there are 2 rows of shimmers, but you're still getting a whole mess of mattes. I love mattes. My heart always loves a matte heavy palette, but with so many shades in here, I like that there are 2 rows of shimmers. Down the bottom, we have darker shimmers. Up the top, we have light to mid-tone shimmers, so it's got it all, which again, I personally love. These shimmers are a little bit more on the thin side. They're a little bit, not all of them are super opaque, but very shiny, very pretty, not messy at all, just very smooth, standard shimmers. Very, very pretty in my opinion. And yeah, I really like this palette. I haven't used it in quite a long time. I did buy it when it came out a couple of years ago, but I love this one. And so many people in the comments always talk about how it's their favorite palette. And I can totally understand whether you like color, whether you like neutrals, I think you would love it. And this would be perfect for, I think, a neutral lover or a color lover. Like I said, if you're a color lover wanting to put some neutrals into your collection, but you don't want it to be boring neutrals, all browns, this would be perfect. And if you're a neutral lover and you're like, I don't want to buy the Lure palette that's full of blues, that's full of greens and purples. I just want a little bit of color just sprinkled in. This would be perfect, where you can, use some neutral mattes and pop this blue on your lid, or you can use some of the purple mattes and then still do a neutral shimmer. Like, it's just very versatile and really, really nice. Coming in at number 4, I have the Sickly Sweet palette. This is my favorite pastel palette in my collection, hands down. I think this is a pastel palette done so well. This was the Halloween release for 2023. It is still available as far as I know. I really, really like the packaging. I'm gonna be a broken record with the packaging, of course. And this is what it looks like. And I think she said it's meant to be like a candy bag, like with different candies sprinkled in. And so this one is the most mixed up layout that she's done. No gradient of rose at all, but I like that. Again, my eye can just create so many different looks. It's not really set out for me. And this is the palette I reach into when I want a pastel matte. These pastels are vibrant, they're pigmented, they're extraordinary. The best pastels in my collection. And the reason I say this is a really well done pastel palette is it's not all pastels. We have some midtones, we have some deeps, we have some shimmers. So you can buy this and create cohesive looks, or at least I can create cohesive looks that I like because I like light to deep in my mattes. Having a gradient, this is perfect for me. I really like the different shimmers. All the shimmers are colorful, and then we do have one more leaning neutral, although it is like a yellowy champagne. And yeah, phenomenally done pastel palette in my opinion, and has a really nice mirror. The quality, like the packaging feels very nice, really, really good quality. It's obviously one of my favorites for a reason. All right, we're in the top 3 now. Coming in at number 3, I have the Machina palette. This is also a newer one to the Blend Bunny collection, and love the cover. Now, again, a lot of people said they didn't really love that the cover didn't match the inside, but I actually think it makes perfect sense with the collection. So this is another one of the slightly smaller color stories. Oh, I think this is so beautiful. To me, there are 2 very distinct sides to the palette. So if you cover up these 3 columns, you have the flowers, like the flowers that match the outside. You have that flowery, springtime, floral, bright, vibrant color story. And if you cover these 3 columns, you have these 3 that are more grungy, more industrial. I totally see the vision here, and I absolutely love it. Something that I love in a palette is variety, and I really enjoy this. I created a look using this green row, and it was just so, like, my favorite types of greens. Yellow, olive undertone greens, they're just beautiful. These shimmers are different, very different than any other shimmers I personally feel like she's done before. They are definitely more iridescent, and they're a little bit, how do I describe it? They're more subtle shimmers. You see that shine, but they're not very wet feeling. They're not super slick. They're not sparkly. They're a little more subdued, but they still have that iridescent shine to them. It's definitely one of my favorites from the brand. I highly suggest it. If you are a color lover, I'm a neutral lover. I still love it. If you want to try a colorful palette from the brand and you like a mix of grungy tones and bright, vibrant tones, this would be absolutely perfect. Coming in at number 2, the All Done Up palette. This is one of my favorite neutral palettes in my collection. I love the packaging, obviously. I love how small this is. This is their smallest palette apart from their quad. I don't have the quad actually, but this is their smallest like full-size palette they've done. And again, these are neutrals, but they're not boring. You can even create a neutral look that has a colorful undertone. This column right here, when put on the eyes, it looks pretty green. We have a standard like cool toned white, gray, black. Always love having those. We have more of a mustardy column, more of a rosy column, and then more of a neutral brown column with the corresponding shimmers. These shimmers are the most sparkly, impactful shimmers that they've done. This silver, it reminds me of the one from the Ellis collection, but this one is a little lighter of a silver. The one from Ellis has a little bit of a deeper silver look to it, but these are very sparkly. For me personally, I have to wear a glitter glue under it because they can get a little messy. But if you're looking for like very shiny, very sparkly shimmers, This is the palette I would kind of suggest to you. And this is a good one, again, if you are a neutral lover, but also if you're a colorful lover and you want like a smaller neutral palette for your collection. Yeah, it's still versatile. It is extremely beautiful. And coming in at number 1, can I get a drum roll, please? You already know what this is. I've done so many palette rankings between Blend Bunny, between other types of palette rankings where this has come in at number 1. So you're probably so sick of me talking about it, but it's the Blends palette. It's my favorite Blend Bunny palette. You probably already knew that coming into this video if you've been here before, but I will be quick about it because I've gone on and on about it. The outside looks really worn because I bring this with me every single time I go to a dance competition. I am a professional dancer. This is the palette I bring with me every single time I go. I love it. It is a all matte rainbow palette, or mostly rainbow palette, let's put it that way. It is phenomenal. This was my first palette from the brand. I got it in a giveaway and it opened my eyes up to the brand. I love how curated this rainbow color story is. It's not too big, it's not bulky, it's very, very thin and light, so it's easy to pack, but it's also secure enough that I don't feel like the shadows are going to break. I love that there is this row down the bottom where I can create a neutral look, but this is really for me more of a companion palette. Of course, like I typically put shimmers on my lid or use shimmers in my look, so I do pull in other palettes, but this is the palette I go to when I'm like, oh, I wish I had a green. I wish I had a black. I wish I had a purple. The first palette my mind goes to is this palette. So it saved me in so many occasions. It's just the perfect like companion rainbow palette. The formula of the mattes, like I've already said, is just so good. I know I can depend on it. I don't know how anything could beat this. Okay, that's all I have to say. So if you're looking for something like that, highly, highly, highly suggest this one. All right, and that is it for this Blend Bunny ranking video. I hope you enjoyed it. So once again, Friday, May 3rd, you can use my affiliate code Rachel to save 20% off just for one day only. And thank you so much if you do. I hope this maybe gives you a chance to try out the brand if you haven't before, or if there's something you've had your eye on, but you're waiting for a sale, this could be the day for you. And if you're not interested in purchasing anything, I don't want you to buy something just because you're getting 20% off, but just you being here is support enough for me. So thank you so much for being here watching my video. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot when you do that. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing before you leave. I do upload videos weekly and I'd love to see you back on my channel again. I want to thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye.